Hey y'all, welcome back to Let's Talk About It with me, your host, Shun Monae. This space where we unpack the joys and challenges of navigating life as a Black woman in her 20s. Happy Black History Month! On today's episode, we're going to talk about being people doubt. Yes, I said it. You know that feeling when you've been socializing nonstop and suddenly you're craving a quiet room, no noise, just you. And that's what we're diving into today. Alrighty. For a long time, I thought I was introverted. Growing up, I felt like my voice was very small and invalid, which I came to realize is rooted in childhood trauma. My dad and my grandma were like my first bullies. Um, every time I said something, they would like shoot me down, and I became very timid. And it wasn't until, and I'm going off on a tangent, but I don't care. I haven't recorded in a week. But I became like very timid, and after high school or around the time I got my first job, not my first job, my second job, when I started working at Target and I was like forced to talk to people, is when I found out that I'm not introverted. I just had some messed up people around me to make me feel like whatever I said wasn't important. But anyways, so yeah, once I started working like in retail and once I got to college and I had to like navigate like new and fresh environments with new people and new energy, I realized, wait a minute, I can actually get along with pretty much anyone. I'm good at socializing and connecting with anyone. And for a while, I was like, all right, this is before I realized it was connected to trauma. Maybe I had, mislabeled myself. Maybe I was an extrovert all along. But then life happened, adulthood happened, work happened. And somewhere in the midst of being a friendly, chatty, wholesome, nonprofit professional, I realized I get peopled out. Like, seriously. All right, let me paint the picture for you. You're wrapping up a long day of meeting, greeting, and chatting. You get in the car, you close that door, and suddenly you let out the deepest sigh of your life. Your brain is on overdrive, your emotions are worn on your sleeve, and all you want to do is teleport home. That's me. Every Monday through Saturday. And I love my nephews to death, right? But after a few hours of nonstop energy and chatter, I'm overstimulated to the max. I I can't I can't handle it for too long. And I feel bad because I also I love my sister very dearly, but I'm like, girl, I give her props all the time. And this may sound weird to those who are like, oh, I keep my nieces and nephews in my backseat all the time. Good for you. But think about it from like my end, right? Like childhood trauma and then working in I don't know, I'm gonna say working in general because I feel like this could happen in any like work setting or whatever. But there's just it's noise constantly. Like the way like our office is set up. We don't have like cubicles. Our desks are like open to where we just like turn to the left and there's somebody, turn to the right and there's somebody. There's always people walking in and out because it's a lovely space. It's a very open space for people, like random people too, to just like walk through and like ask questions or whatever. And by it being such like a cutesy, fun, wholesome workplace, people, myself included, because I'm a yapper during the week. Notice I said during the week, because on the weekends, I don't be talking to myself. I'll be talking it all. Anyways, but there's like people cheering because we're getting money, and there's like tons of like chatting, collaborations. We love to see it. But NGO, it feels like you're in the middle of traffic sometimes. And I'm ready to crash out. Sometimes I'm like, God damn, now. Like, somebody make this stop. Like, people legit will not say anything to you unless you have AirPods in. But the moment you leave them bad boys at home, it's like being in the gym where you're like forced to listen to like the gym music, like the gym playlist or whatever. It's low key torture. And I know this podcast may come off on the negative side, but honestly, this is just like my reality. This is just how I be feeling. And I don't know. When, people say we all might be on some type of spectrum, right? We're just a whole bunch of undiagnosed people out here. I feel that way because I can only handle it for so long. Like on Fridays, I'm not itching to go out and be in the streets. I'm itching to go home and get in my bed and be alone. And don't confuse loneliness and wanting to be alone. I don't feel lonely. I just prefer being alone. After work, especially. Can't handle it. And I feel like that's why my Sundays are sacred. Sundays are for silence, solitude, and self-care. I mean, leave me alone, respectfully, or even disrespectfully. Don't bother me, please. So what do we call all of this? What do we call this? Is it just introvert tendencies creeping back in? Is it something new? Or is it just the natural evolution of being like an empathetic person in a world that requires so much social energy? What is it? So, oh my goodness, I just lost my train of thought. This is the most I've yapped in a while. So let's just run it back. So like I said, childhood trauma played a role in how I interacted with people growing up. Didn't feel safe, didn't use my voice, I stayed quiet. And then once I got older and I was like forced out of my comfort zone, I learned how to connect with others and build relationships and navigate these unfamiliar spaces. And honestly, I thrived. I do really well around people I don't know. And working in a nonprofit space, like I said, is very warm and inviting. It's very chatty. But like I said, it does feel like I'm in the middle of a traffic jam sometimes. And it takes a lot of energy out of me. It makes me feel drained sometimes. And here's the thing. Being overstimulated doesn't mean you're not good with people. It just means you're human. And as someone who feels deeply and pours so much into my interactions, it makes sense that I need time to refill my cup. That's all it is. I'm a Sagittarius. And I'm not sure if this is like a Sagittarius thing, but I love connecting with people on deep levels. With my sister, we don't have just like a regular basic conversation. We are diving deep about something. And even with like my ex's friend, and I guess I can talk about like why we like fell out. It's really simple. But we would have all of these deep conversations. We can talk about it real quick. I'm getting off topic just a little bit. But we fell out because I guess she didn't think that my podcast was real or it didn't exist. And I'm like, girl, be for real. The whole reason behind me starting this podcast was for me to get my deeper, more critical thinking type thoughts out into the world so other people can listen to it. God, that made me sad. I cried. Because I'm like, what? Like, forget the boys and the nonsense. If I'm a yapper with you, and I'm a yapper with anybody else in my circle, my podcast is just another thing for me to yap to. I like it. I enjoy it. And it's something, I care about. Anyways, so whether it is having endless conversations, the noise, or just emotional energy, I'm sorry. Emotional energy that it takes to be fully present. Overstimulation is real. It's real whether you feel it or not. And it's okay to acknowledge that. It doesn't make you like a bad person for needing time to yourself. Especially if you're like me. It's not a bad thing. We'll come back around when we have capacity to show up in ways that others need us to, and in ways that we like to. There's nothing wrong with that. So, how do we show up for people we love and ourselves without burning out? Let's talk about finding some balance in that. For me, it's all about boundaries. Sundays are my do not disturb days. And that includes like dating people. Another random side track note. Even if I'm like being intimate with someone, if they come and like spend the night from like Friday to Sunday or Sunday to Saturday, I'm not gonna lie. On Sunday at like 11 o'clock or noon, I'm waiting on you to check out of this experience of this hotel or this, what they call those, bed and breakfasts, because I need space to gather myself for this week. I'm sure everything was good. I'm sure we had a good time, doing grown up things, but baby, it's time for you to go. Of course, I would never like tell like anyone that, but I'm like, come on, read my energy. Don't you see that I'm a little tired? And most of the time, if I like have somebody over, we can sleep it anyway. So it's like, I'm tired. I need a rest by myself. See ya. Oh man, I'm like, what am I gonna be like when I like get married someday? If I get married one day, or like moving with somebody, like can't really get rid of that person in that case. Ugh. Anyways, my car rides after a long day are my sanctuary, and sometimes in complete silence. Some days I listen to music going home. Sometimes I don't listen to anything. I talk to myself here and there, but I'm fish bowling, so it's like I limit that sometimes. I limit talking to myself because people can see me. um, and it's also about giving myself permission to say no, to take a step back, and to prioritize my mental and emotional health. And let me tell you, that's not always easy when you're used to being the reliable, friendly one. But it's necessary. So, my closing thoughts. To anyone who's ever felt people doubt, you're not alone. Whether you identify as an introvert, extrovert, or somewhere in between, it's okay to need space to recharge. Why did I say recharge? I said recharge. Recharge. It doesn't make you less capable, less loving, or less dedicated to people in your life. It just makes you human. Take the time to breathe, to reset, and to protect your peace. Because at the end of the day, you can't pour from an empty cup. All right, y'all. I yapped for quite a minute on here, and I hope you enjoyed it. Seems like my yapping sessions get more views, so I really hope you come back. Again, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Let's Talk About It. If it resonated with you, share with a friend who might need a reminder to take care of themselves too. Until next time, take care of your mind, your heart, and your energy. See you next week. You will see me next week unless I feel peopled out again. All right, bye y'all. Have a fantastic week.